high school with Kelly, and Fred wanted me to be Aunt Judy, and so I've known them since 1978, I guess, when they got married.
Okay, I've known Sue for years, and then I got to know John and Susan together, and we've spent time together throughout the years. They've been to Texas to visit. They're just a great couple, and I'm so proud of them.
Tell us your name again.
Beverly Moore.
Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you.
Okay, hi, I'm Susie, and my husband Dan and I met John and Susan. We were just talking about this on the way. We think probably about almost 40 years ago. Yeah, when we were all living in Anna, and I was working at DCFS, and Susan at that time was working with Union County Counseling Center. She was pregnant with Ryan when I met her, and then I knew her because then she came to work for me for a while at DCFS. And we became very, very close friends. Spent a lot of time together with them in years past. Very, very good friends. Very good. Had some wild and crazy times together.
I remember John, especially we used to jog together fairly often, 2 or 3 times a week, which was a great time because John had plenty to talk about while you're jogging down the road. But probably the best part was the gin and tonic we would have after the run, because you have to restore your electrolytes, right?
Hi, I'm ready. Hi, I'm Tom Schill. I met John when he came here for a job. We were in the same department, psychology department. And then I started fishing with he and Terry Buck down at Kentucky Lake. And now we fish on Spring Arbor Lake out of his pontoon boat when the motor starts.
Hi, I'm Eric Jacobs. I'm a colleague of John's from the Department of Psychology, and I would often participate in the lunch bunch, and when I couldn't because I had a work obligation, John would tell me to get my priorities in order. And one of these days I'm going to listen to him.
So Sue came to town in her little convertible, and she ended up marrying Don Tripp, and we all ran around together 4 years in Anna, Illinois.
All right, go ahead.
We're telling lies.
Known Sue for 57 years.
And how do you know John Susan? So how did you meet him?
Sue lived in Anna, and we became friends and bridge buddies, and we've played bridge ever since then for over 50 years.
Excellent.
And John, when he and Sue married, met John.
Thank you so much.
Which time?
Ready?
Oh.
Or John.
How long have you known Sue Snyder?
I've known Sue Snyder for years. Our kids grew up in the same neighborhood. We swam in their pool day after day, and they couldn't be a finer couple. I love Sue and John.
Well, I've been her bridge partner many times. Sometimes she can count, and sometimes she can't. But I will say that when we're bridge partners, we usually end up winners. Listen,
I hate to say that, but she's right.
I've only known her 52 or 3 years. I mean, it hasn't been that long.
Hi, I'm Tom Rotter, and I know John from the swimming pool at John A. Logan, and I've met his wife Susan just through knowing him. So anyway, congratulations, John and Susan. Many more years.
I met John probably within days of his moving to Southern Illinois in August of 1968, when he came to Carbondale and Southern Illinois University as a new professor in psychology, and I was a brand new graduate student who had never been within 300 miles of Carbondale and just moved there at the same time, and had everything I owned and a car and no place to live, and I didn't know a soul. But John was one of the first people that I met, along with Vince Herron, and we had that fall immediately an office together in the same house at 903 Whitney on the campus, which is long gone. That house has been demolished in favor of, I believe, a parking lot or something of that nature. But we were there in the same house the fall that we both moved to Carbondale, 1968. And Elaine and I were married 8 years later, and she has a story to tell too.
First time I ever met John Snyder, I was a very naive, shy person, and I was anxious to make a good impression with David's friends. And John had a very interesting hat on, and on the front of the hat there was a long, sharp-looking, needle-like looking object. And just making conversation with him in front of my date, that's our first date, I said, "Oh, that's a very interesting hat. What is that on the front?" And he said, "Oh, it's a raccoon print." And I almost fell over. I'll never forget that as long as I live. So that's how I met John.
I know John and Susan originally back from the Union County Counseling Service day, and Sue actually hired me to be the nurse at Union County Counseling Service 40 years ago. So that's how I know them. And it was even before they were married, but not long before.
I'm Beth Arthur, and I worked with Susan at the clinical center for many years, and that's how I got to know them. They're wonderful people, and I love their blended family. They've done that better than anybody I know.
Susan through my husband Mike, and they were very good friends, and I became a very good friend, and happy anniversary.
Go ahead.
I'm Jim Sullivan, and this is Sylvia.
Yes, I'm
married for more than 50 years. I thought you'd like to know that. And we know John and Susan from church and swimming and visiting him in the hospital and at SIU and other times and at bars and other things he doesn't want to talk about.
And we like dogs and animals.
I'm Vicki Cunningham. This is my husband, Gene Cunningham. Our daughter, Carla. Gene and Sue are first cousins.
Anything you'd like to say to the couple?
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Sue and John.
Hey, I'm Janet Brooks. I met Sue for the first time many years ago when she married Don Tripp, and our families went a lot of places together, went on vacation together, our kids played together. And then after Don and Sue split up, I met John, and we still remain very good friends. And our girls, we've all been friends all through the years.
I'm Alex Popoff. I always tell people, spelled the normal way.
And how do you know John?
I know John from our kids being in Cub Scouts and Go Out team with Crisis Network back in the 70s.
I'm Golda Kessler, and the way I know John and Susan is that I worked at Union County Counseling Service with Susan, and John came to work there as a consultant, so, knew both of them. So I've known them when they first met each other and through all of that, and even after they were married. Another friend of ours, Kathy Zonetti, that worked there, she and I used to go to John and Susan's every evening after work and, kind of unwind and had a good time. So I've known them for years. They're special people. Love them both.
Go ahead.
Brian Klubeck. I'm a friend of John and Susan Snyder. We met at the Newman Center, and I was a former instructor for Ryan Snyder. Great student. Happy anniversary.